the 12th, 1822. Darkness falls and an eerie silence descends over the landscape, broken only by the sound of cicadas and the occasional hoot of an owl. The night sky is a canopy filled with millions of twinkling stars, diamonds on black velvet. In a race against time, the two women make their way up into the hills, following ancient donkey tracks that meander through scrublands of myrtle thickets, oleander and broom. In an agonizing journey, fraught with danger, their only hope of salvation is to find sanctuary in the monastery of Nea Moni. Swaying and clutching her swollen belly, the young woman collapses onto the soft, warm earth, moaning in pain. Ephrosyne kneels over her, coaxing her to make one last effort. Their lives hang in the balance. She cannot give birth here. They are alone and within reach of the Turk. Untying her sash, Ephrosyne takes out a silver flask and pours the last drop of precious water onto the woman's dry, crimson lips. Even in such distress, Artemis is the most beautiful creature she's ever known. With her perfect almond-shaped face and flawless alabaster complexion, in the moonlight she resembles a goddess. Uttering a prayer to the Virgin to protect the mother's milk, Ephrosyne reaches out and tears away the waterlogged leaves of a succulent plant, opens the delicate silk bodice and tenderly massages Artemis's supple breasts, bursting with milk, until the leaves have released all of their medicinal properties. The child kicks violently in her belly. "Not now, my child, not now," Ephrosyne whispers, gently running her withered, bony fingers through the falling tresses of Artemis's thick, raven-black hair, and wiping away the tiny pearls of perspiration from her brow. A glorious silver moon hangs over the straits of Chios, and the sea shines like a silver mirror. The Turkish fleet lies in the harbour, and beyond, on the horizon, is the dark shadow of the Turkish mainland. Flashes of red light, tinged with yellow, illuminate the sky of Chios town. A screech owl swoops overhead, flapping its wings, disappearing into the shadows. "Look," Artemis cries Ephrosyne, "the messenger of the goddess Athena. It is a good omen." Artemis forces a smile. The light in her amethyst eyes intensifies. "It is not the destiny of this child to be born here," Ephrosyne adds. "Remember that the miraculous icon of the Virgin was found hanging from a myrtle bush nearby. It is she who will guide us to safety." The two women struggle in silence until finally, from the brow of the hill, they see the monastery nestling amongst the cypress trees, protecting itself from the outside world. As they approach, they hear a soft humming noise. Gradually the noise becomes louder, and they recognize the pitiful sound of wailing. The great wooden doors open to reveal a scene of abject human misery. Women, half crazed with terror, shriek and cry. Desperate children clasp their mother's skirts, trembling in fear. A monk helps Artemis across the cobblestones, pushing his way through the desperate throng. 2,000 souls awaiting salvation are crammed into the walls of this great Byzantine monastery. "Pray for us," they cry. "Pray to the Virgin." Finding a place in the church, Ephrosyne spreads out her woolen cloak on the ancient marble floor in preparation for the birth. A monk lays Artemis down, blessing her forehead with the sign of the cross. With not a moment to spare, under the splendour of the 11th century domes ablaze with gold mosaics, the child is born. the Christ Pantocrator and holy saints of the spiritual world gaze down on mother and child. Artemis looks up at the Virgin, dressed in her shimmering blue robe, as Ephrosyne wraps the child in her own warm shawl and hands it to her. You see, Artemis, Ephrosyne says, it was not her destiny to be born on a hillside. Look above you, in such pitiful conditions, to be born with all the saints of Christendom looking down on you for protection is something miraculous. God will watch over this child. The door flies open. They are here. The Turks are here, a woman screams. Panic and fear grip everyone. A mother of two small children who are cowering against the wall faints, leaving her little ones crying helplessly. The monks reach for their guns. Courage, my children, courage, they cry as they run towards the gate. Artemis clasps Ephrosyne's hands. You must take the child and escape while there is still a chance. Ephrosyne looks at Artemis in horror. How can she leave her here alone and to such a terrible fate? She had watched this woman grow from a child and blossom into the most beautiful woman in Chios. She owed her life to this family. Rescued from the slave market by Artemis's father, that family was all she had in the world. Her own family had perished at the hands of the Turks in reprisals for Greek freedom fighters attacking a Turkish village. It was unthinkable for her to leave. Ephrosyne, Artemis pleads, I'm begging you, I'm too weak to move. My end is near, but the child must live. You yourself said that she is the child of destiny. Her life is in your hands. Artemis unties the embroidered silk sash from around her hair and secures it to the tiny bundle. Taking the precious locket from around her neck, she kisses it and places it over the child's head, securing it between the folds of silk. Go! Run as fast as you can. Don't look back. God be with you. Ephrosyne gathers the child in her arms and in a sea of tears runs to the door. Against Artemis's wishes, she turns and takes one final look. Artemis seems to be searching for something in her clothing. She catches Ephrosyne's eye. Run, Artemis urges, while there's time. Ephrosyne runs as fast as her weary bones can carry her. With blind determination, she makes her way to the far side of the monastery. Behind the monks' houses stands a narrow stone stairway leading to the top of the outer wall. Behind her is Dante's Inferno. The screams of slaughter ring in her ears, and the sounds of gunshots grow nearer. Reaching the upper ledge, Ephrosyne makes a rope from her own sash and ties it to the small bundle, carefully lowering it over the outer wall onto a soft patch of wild thyme, partially obscured from view by the bough of a wild fig tree. She lets the sash go. Turning around, she freezes. At the bottom of the stairs stands a Turk, yataghan in one hand and scimitar in the other. Ephrosyne runs along the ledge until she can run no more. Leaning against the wall, she turns her head. The Turk, his face and clothes smeared with blood, laughs at her. In defiance, she spits in his face. The devil take you, she curses. Angrily, he raises his bloodied scimitar to strike, but defiant to the end, Ephrosyne throws herself over the monastery wall. She falls to her death on the rocks. The remaining souls barricade themselves into the church. Finally, the doors break open, and the Turks, showing no mercy, slaughter all except for the young women destined for the slave markets. In the center of the church, under the Christ Pantocrator, lies Artemis, as if asleep, a cover pulled over her body. A Turkish officer stands over her, and in the midst of so much devastation, he pauses, catching his breath at such beauty. Korkma Kadin, Sinvinishrin. Fear not, you are mine, he leers, tearing away the cover, only to reveal her blood-soaked clothing. Like Ephrosyne, Artemis has cheated them out of killing her. She has plunged the jade dagger, once given to her for protection by Yashim Ali, into her heart. As the sun rises the next day, the sound of hoofbeats galloping through the scrub becomes louder and louder. A blood-based stallion approaches the thicket of wild fig. The horseman is agile. In an instant, he lifts the tiny bundle onto his saddle and gallops away through the trees. A painted lady butterfly flutters over the ground where the infant had lain. Nearby, the bright red wild tulips unfurl their petals in the morning sun, and a quiet peace descends over the monastery. Do we have time for one more, or are we running?
Maybe